Welcome to Waywut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday, and then on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram. We appreciate you joining us. Now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go. Hello, and welcome again to another episode of Waywut. My name is Darrell, and I will be in charge of this huge, gigantic, awesome episode today. And here I am with the guy who owned 2 banana hammocks to strip at parties, whether people wanted him to or not. Jason.
Yes, one had Velcro and one had a zipper.
I figured it might throw you off if I used something real for once. Just keep you on your toes.
I still have them just in case.
That was the next question. It's even written in my script. Do you still have those?
I still have them. They're pushed down some drawer somewhere. I ain't getting rid of those. You never know.
Do they hang low enough now?
No, I don't know if the Velcro will even strap on anymore.
Didn't you have like a black leather one or something like that?
Yeah, that's the one with a zipper on it.
Oh, dear God.
A zipper in a weirdly weird place.
Yeah, it seems like a way to get an injury that nobody wants.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think I've ever used a zipper.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah. Anyways, I'm having bad memories now. So let's move on to a confused rant. And it's not because I'm confused about my sexuality because of Jason.
I confuse a lot of people.
No, not me. I'm fine. How many people will pick up unknown objects just off the ground, buried in the walls of a cave, or out of a dumpster of an oil refinery, and just eat it? Let me revise that. How many people that aren't Jason will do that?
If you're hungry, I guess you'll eat them, whatever you can get your hands on.
Well, I think damn near every single person would say, hell no, I wouldn't do that. And that's because part of a parent's job is keeping babies from eating random shit that, they just get within their reach. We're all conditioned to not do that because every time we grab something when we're little, parent would be like, no.
Yeah, the first thing you do is put it right in your mouth.
Yeah, parents bust their asses to burn it into their children's brains to not grab random things and eat them. And kids will eat anything. My cousin swallowed a safety pin and had to have surgery.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I took my eyes off my son for half a second while he was crawling, and next thing you know, he was sitting there eating out of a pile of cat vomit. Even my own parents took their eyes off of me while I was a baby, and I started chewing on cigarette butts from my dad's ashtray. Yeah.
Well, that's why you're addicted.
No, there weren't any lasting effects. For those that are just listening, I just took a hit off my vape. As much as I enjoy mocking Jason for taking a random pill he found in a room at a bed and breakfast, all people are unknowingly just as bad. How many people are chemistry geniuses that understand the short-term and long-term effects of various chemicals and the effects they have on the human body? I imagine that number is very small. Maybe 1,000 people in the whole world at most. There's more chemists than that, but, I'm talking about really good chemists. Now, go grab a box of cereal or a TV dinner or pretty much any kind of food in a box with a nice logo. Do you know what all those big words and the ingredients are?
No.
I sure as hell don't either. No. I don't know what a riboflavin is. I'm not going to go through the list of various chemicals we all ingest daily. There are far too many. I'd rather talk about the solution. The solution is not for everyone to become expert chemists. It's way easier. It's also not trusting all of the rich people in charge of the world to do the right thing or follow the laws they create, because they generally don't do either of those things.
No.
There are only two solutions that are practical. The most difficult would be to hunt, grow, and gather your own food.
Yeah, that'd be pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm too lazy for that. But if you are able to do it and that's what you do, good on you. You got it. The thing that I would suggest is to buy foods with ingredients you can read. If you're going to eat corn, then look at the ingredients. If it says anything more than corn and water, don't buy it. It's
Yeah.
pretty simple. That is unless you really, really like it and it's worth the trade-off. That's how I am with diet soda. There's no such thing as a healthy diet soda, but I ain't drinking my calories, and I've done my time drinking mostly water and unsweet tea. I need my bubbly caffeine. Even if it eats holes in my well, what do you call it? The thing in your head. Brain. That's it. Even if it eats holes in that.
Wait, you drank unsweet tea?
For a long time, yeah.
Oh,
Whenever I was kind of when I was single and I was really trying to pay attention to my figure, that's all I drank: unsweet tea and water.
gross. I'd rather just stick with water.
No calories, and it had caffeine. I was on a mission at the time.
Was it ice unsweet tea or hot?
Well, since I lived by myself, my wife loves talking about how just much of a bachelor I was whenever I was living by myself. I kept a gallon jug of it,
Okay.
and I would just drink out of the jug because
Well,
I lived by myself.
yeah, who else is going to drink out of it?
Yeah, I mean, it would Trip came over, I would usually get him like a 6-pack of Pepsis or root beer or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember when we were kids and everyone was saying to not drink the orange soda because it had yellow dye 6 or red dye 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the boys were saying that it would shrink your dick.
Yep. All of us quit drinking Mountain Dew that day.
I stopped drinking orange soda because of that. I never really was a Mountain Dew drinker, but I remember them saying it about the orange soda, and I stopped drinking it.
Uh-huh.
Now, thank God that wasn't true, because there couldn't be any food in the world that would do that. Today's episode is all about stuff that could be shrinking your dick. Buckle up, fellas. This is going to be fun.
I need to take notes on this one.
We're going to start this off with something called endocrine disruptors. Your endocrine system is composed of I hate how many times I got this word in here, of endocrine glands spread throughout the body that produce small amounts of hormones that are released into your circulatory system.
Uh-huh.
These hormones are used to signal your body for processes for things like growth, fertility, and reproduction. Now, as I said, they operate in small amounts, but that doesn't do it justice. One scientist that I read said that if the human body was an Olympic-sized swimming pool, the amount of these hormones needed to alter that swimming pool would be a fraction of a teaspoon.
Damn.
So it doesn't take a lot. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that interrupt these glands or hormones from their normal behavior. There are at least 1,000 man-made chemicals that are potential endocrine disruptors.
Oopsie.
Yeah. The first one I want to focus on are called phthalates. Phthalates are a type of liquid plasticizer. This means it's added to plastics to add to their flexibility, transparency, and longevity. You can also find phthalates in things such as liquid soap, hairspray, moisturizer, fast food, milk, butter, medical device tubing, and children's toys.
God.
Why are
butter. Leave butter alone.
Well, I don't know why they put it in dairy stuff, but I mean, it's probably just for appearances, I'm sure. Now, why are phthalates bad? When phthalates get into our bloodstream, our bodies think that the phthalate molecules are testosterone.
Oh.
The human body has these powerful hormones that are able to penetrate all of our tissues. So whenever your body dumps hormones, I mean, it's able to go through your muscles, your nerves, all that stuff. It's able to go through and travel and infect everything that it's supposed to affect. I mean, because all the hormones are designed to affect how all of our tissues and organs function. So the body works very, very hard to maintain the balance of these hormones, because it'd be dangerous if you get too much, too little, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women produce both testosterone and estrogen,
Yep.
and these phthalates have a negative impact on both men and women. But women don't have dicks. I'm talking about biological parts, not identity. So don't get your underwear of choice in a wad. Okay, I'm talking about wing wangs. Either way, this episode isn't about what chemicals do to cooters, so we're going to go back to wiener chemistry. The human body mistakenly identifies phthalates as testosterone. The body is like, uh-oh, we got too much testosterone. Dump some more estrogen in the blood. The problem with phthalates being identified as testosterone is that it doesn't do what testosterone does. This plasticizer is not giving you underarm hair, muscles, or a raging boner. So instead of counteracting testosterone, the estrogen just does estrogen things, like giving a guy tits, shriveling his balls. And according to a study funded by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, can result in shortening of the anogenital distance. That's the science way of saying shrinking your dick.
Who knew there was a scientific term for it?
Anogenital distance, yes.
It sounds so much better to say it that way, so nobody will ever know what's happening. If
Well,
you tell
that's
them
why
that, yeah.
you never hear me say it again after this part. And in case you're wondering if you have any of these in your system, don't worry about it, because you absolutely do.
I think I have a whole bunch.
A survey collected 2,540 samples of good old American urine and found that 75% of the samples had detectable levels of phthalates. Now, you're like, 75%, 3 out of 4? There's a chance I'm clear. No. The reason that this is frightening is the half-life of a phthalate is 6 to 24 hours. So it's not in you very long. For them to be detected, those people had to have brought phthalates in their system that day.
I see you said lotion contained these
I
what do you call them?
said
Phthalates?
hand
Phthalates?
soap. Phthalates.
Hand soap. Well, I guess you use whatever you got at that time, but it's kind of weird.
Oh, you worried if somebody's like using something as a masturbatorial aid that they could be
just working against them.
I think most of the danger of phthalates is through ingestion, not topical.
Okay, that's good news.
Yeah.
Good news, guys. Whew.
So, fellas, unless you are the cleanest living person in the world, you have this dick shrinker in your system. Now, keep in mind, this is not, I mean, we're not walking around with like everybody walking around with micro penises or anything like that. So it's not like, it's just a possibility. And they never really said how much it shrunk. I don't think many guys admit that. They're probably like, oh God, yeah, it was like 9 inches earlier. Fucking phthalates. Our next member minimizer is bisphenol A. I'm sure you've heard of this endocrine disruptor. Think of all the things at the store that say BPA-free.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's bisphenol A. BPA is a chemical found in polycarbonate plastics and epoxy resins. Epoxy resins are often used to line the insides of cans for food and beverages. So that's one way those end up in people. The polycarbonate plastic is what they use to make containers for food. So you're thinking of like your Tupperwares and
Oh,
your TV dinners and stuff like that.
yeah, I've heard you're not supposed to microwave your leftovers in the
I'll get to
plastic.
that. I will get to that shortly.
Okay.
Now, the BPA shouldn't be able to get into your food from those plastic containers, unless, of course, you microwave your food in that container. And the
Mm.
heat weakens the plastic, allowing the BPA to break free and get into your food.
Oh man.
However, you don't have to worry though, because the FDA acknowledges that BPA does get into the human body through food contained in those plastics, but they say it's at a safe, very low level. And they also say that they're going to continue to monitor and research so they can eventually change their mind.
To realize
Say,
they were wrong, yeah.
they're like, oh, we're keeping an eye on it. And like, oh, yeah, no, BPA is bad for you. Yeah, we thought so all along. So, how does BPA make your dinky dinkier? Unlike phthalates, your body does not mistake it for testosterone. BPA is more proactive and interacts with the estrogen receptors. That means, unlike phthalates that don't act as a hormone, BPA actually does act like estrogen.
Oh.
Fortunately for us, it's not as potent as the actual hormone. So it's not the whole half a teaspoon thing. But the amount of exposure is lifelong. If the amount of exposure is lifelong and this mild estrogen pretender is continually activating receptors and it starts raising concerns about cumulative events. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're constantly having this low level thing and they're saying estrogen, that's a problem. Since it's continually triggering estrogen receptors, it can cause lower sperm count, weight gain, and not being able to decide what restaurant to eat at. You know, women stuff. There was a single study in Italy of 383 young men that linked shrinking penis size to BPAs. Of course, I found this in an article that argues that no chemical is shrinking your junk, but it was written by a gynecologist. So one, they're not even a wiener expert,
Mm-mm.
and two,
Stay in your lane.
I'm thinking he was paid off by Big Plastic, or he's trying to make men's penises so small that they're practically vaginas, and it'll increase business for himself. Don't
It's a
trust
win-win.
don't trust big gynecology when it comes to wieners.
Big gynecology. They're a force to be reckoned with.
You got to watch out for them. I really do agree with him that one study doesn't prove anything. However, I'm not going to gamble with my dick. I'll wait for 50 studies that prove that one wrong, and then I'll feel comfortable being okay. Yeah, BPA isn't a problem.
That's great.
I keep talking about these man-made chemicals that are trying to harm a man's prized possession. So the obvious solution is to go organic. If you get whole foods that are organically raised or grown and don't eat anything that's, packaged in plastic, you should be good. You should be good. Everything should be fine. Except there are some natural endocrine disruptors called phytoestrogens. You've heard the term soy boy. I know
Yeah.
you've heard it a lot, Jason. It's not because veganism or lactose intolerance makes a man seem more feminine. At least not fully. For the most part, though, it's based in science. Phytoestrogens are considered high in foods such as soybeans, broccoli, cabbage, green beans, peaches, strawberries, wheat, oats, almonds, and pretty much anything that isn't meat that I'm actually willing to eat.
Right? God, you named everything I eat.
I know. I've been so proud of myself for eating all these things other than meat. And most of the things my wife has gotten me to eat are on that damn list.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't say tacos, hamburger, pizza, ice cream. You didn't say any of that. We're
Mm,
good. We're good.
I'm kind of upset because I don't know what this means. I don't know what she's up to. I mean, I'll think about it later, but I've got some serious questions for her because she's a science nerd. She should know this.
She might know this.
I mean, she's majored in chemical engineering, so I mean, she should be one of those smart chemical people I was talking about. Phytoestrogens have a similar structure as human estrogen. So it would seem, that would mean that they would do like BPAs. That doesn't really seem to be the case. I really don't understand all the biochemistry words that they use in all the studies. So I'm going to dumb it down to my level. Essentially, the phytoestrogens are built to interact with two different estrogen receptors that can either activate or deactivate a process that estrogen molecule would normally do. So it can either trigger or suppress estrogen in the system. Usually, when that happens, you see reactions such as the body producing more estrogen to make up for the lack of it, or the body producing more testosterone to counteract the excess of estrogen. The effects of this in men can vary, but a report published in 2008 and another report published in 2011 were about a 60-year-old man and a 19-year-old vegan male that both experienced low testosterone, low libido, and growing boobies. According to the Soy Nutrition Institute, both of these men were consuming 9 times more phytoestrogen foods than the typical Japanese man. Why am I bringing up the Japanese man? The typical Japanese or Chinese person, either one of those countries, consume 25 times more phytoestrogen foods than a typical European.
That makes
So,
total sense.
9 times more, these guys were consuming 9 times more than the people that consume the most of it.
The stereotype is the reason, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, as a result of these incidents with these two guys, studies began testing animals and finding what they referred to as feminization of males whenever they tested it in cows and rats.
What do you
Your favorite,
mean?
Jason?
Feminization, as in like they're turning you to a woman?
They're developing more feminine features.
Oh.
However, none of these tests have yet to be replicated in people. Today, most studies find more benefits than issues from consuming soy and other phytoestrogens. Then why am I putting it on this list? First, to let everyone know not to consume 9 times more phytoestrogens than what Japanese people consider normal, especially considering that they already eat too much of them. And how do I know that? I spent a lot of time in Asia. Women love me there for a reason. I don't consume a lot of phytoestrogens. They're like, oh man. Now I say that, and if any of my Filipino friends are listening, they're gonna be like, "What are you saying, dude?"
You know exactly
Nothing.
what we're saying.
I just
Yeah.
know that I'd never really heard many people say "ouch" before until I went to Asia. Now the second is one of the other issues with excess estrogen in men can be weight gain. When men get fatter around their junk, they lose length. So technically, if the estrogen effects are exacerbated and it causes weight gain, it would still shrink your dick. So don't get fat. But for the most part, people can get off of vegan men's backs about soy making them into women. Most of the science since 2011 has found that to not be the case. Now, if that being said, if you are wanting to take in a lot of protein for like building muscles and stuff, you do stay away from the phytoestrogens because if you're trying to bulk up, that's not going to help.
No.
Yeah. If you are going to make fun of these vegan guys, you do it for having an unhealthy lifestyle. You have more science backing you up on that. I mean, how many healthy vegan guys have you seen?
Not
It's like,
many.
I love it because you can talk shit to them. What are they going to do? Fight you? Be like, I'm tired now.
I'm so weak.
Somebody bring me a carrot.
Did you say there was a soy nutrition institute?
Yes.
That's a real thing.
The same way that there's the American cattle farmers, American dairy farmers, every single food industry has some sort of scientific institute that they get to house all their studies in that say what they want them to say.
Mm.
So every time, say beef or other things start talking about how great keto is, then the sugar industry, all of a sudden their science is going to start finding all the cholesterol in meat and finding ways that sugar is not killing you. But when in reality, that is about the worst thing we consume, other than all the manufactured chemicals they put in things. Like sugar is incredibly addictive and not good for us at all, at least not refined sugar. Fructose and fruits are fine because there's not as much as what you get in like granulated sucrose.
That's perfect in sweet tea and coffee. I even dip my fructose strawberry in sugar.
You're gonna get the diabetes.
Probably.
You're gonna have to get the fat shot.
Maybe. I don't know. With my issues I'm having these days, I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, that reminds me. After the show, I need to tell you something. I have a message from Denise to pass along to you.
Okay.
Actually, if you get that thing surgically repaired, follow the doctor's orders. Do absolutely nothing.
I can't do that. That's ridiculous.
That's why she had the same surgery 7 times. We're talking about abdominal hernias. Jason hurt himself.
Yep. It looked pretty gross.
I don't want to know about it. I hate hearing about that gross shit.
Can I show you?
No, and I don't want you to. Keep your shirt on.
Hang on, right? Everybody.
I know. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Fellas, we can eat our vegetables. Just make sure that most of them aren't in cans and aren't stored in plastic. And you're not eating 9 times as much as a Japanese person. Make sure most of what you eat isn't processed, isn't stored in cans, isn't stored in plastic, and is not an ungodly amount of phytoestrogens, and your wiener will be fine. Yeah.
I know I've said this before, but if you're shopping at the grocery store, I've always heard, stay away from the middle aisles. Just go around the edges to your dairy, your meat, your produce. That's usually on the outer edges of the grocery store. All that processed foods are in the middle.
Yeah, that's all I ate whenever I was single. It's the processed stuff. My wife has me eating way better than I probably have ever eaten in my entire life.
It makes a difference. It really does make you feel better.
Does it?
I mean, I like a cheeseburger like anybody else, but
no, she still makes those too. But yeah, actually, what she makes is amazing. It's the exercise part that everybody's like, it makes you feel so good, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. I have sore abs right now. I hate that.
Yeah, I've been doing yoga in the mornings, and even that makes me sore. Just stretching and holding your body weight up, and it's rough. But I do have another question.
Go ahead.
I know with Trump going into office and then him instituting RFK as the health advisor or the health administrator, has he identified any of these chemicals as trying to ban them?
I have. It didn't come across any of that. I don't think his target right now is penises. Everything he's trying to yank out is usually out of snack foods and things that kids eat a lot of. The things that potentially cause ADHD and all that. What I think is funny on that, to be honest, is not the whole like what it could cause. I mean, because a lot of that needs to be thoroughly vetted and proven. But when you talk about yellow dye number 5, I think that one is made out of petroleum. We don't need petroleum in our food. Them taking it out, him banning it from being put in there isn't going to hurt any fucking thing. And people are still like, oh, no. And it's like,
I want my petroleum.
I don't get that. I mean, I get disagreeing with him on like some things because they're just a certain kind of crazy. But whatever, it's that kind of like a common sense thing is like, hey, I don't want us feeding your kids petroleum anymore. It's like, all right, let's not fight them on that one. And I don't think anybody really has on that. Not anybody that's not getting money from the petroleum lobby, at least. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, so I'm all for them changing stuff in the food because, like you said, there's only like 1,000 people in this world that actually understand all the microchemistry and the things you can actually eat. So with them taking it out of foods, and that's fine by me.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as somebody isn't like, I'm going to ban Diet Coke, then they'll have a problem with me. As long as it's like, I'm going to ban this phosphata carbonate protein choline whatever thing that I don't understand what it is, and the molecular structure of it is like this long, then yeah, I'm cool with them taking it out. I don't.
Yeah,
it's not going to hurt my feelings.
There was a show on Hulu with James Franco in it where he went back in time and was like trying to stop the assassination of JFK. But one of the main things that stuck out with me,
11/22/63. I've read the book. I've never watched the movie because it's not going to be as good.
No, but the only thing that really stuck out with me was how they commented on the food. How when they went back to the assassination time, the 60s, that the food tasted so much better because they didn't have all the shit in it.
Keep in mind, this is from Stephen King, so he loved the 60s. I mean, it could have tasted better, but no telling. I can't say whether that's the case or not. So
No.
I'm not going to trust just some author that's going to want to try to idealize a certain time in history and be like, oh, everything tasted better. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't.
Yeah.
I know that it probably didn't shrink dicks, so that's probably a good thing. All right, well, join us next time when Jason, if he isn't too busy trying to get a law passed to make measuring your dick starting from behind the balls as the legal measurement, if he's done with that, maybe he'll tell us some things that'll make us say, wait, what?
Maybe.
Jason, you measure before the balls, not after.
If you shave.
That's just cope. That's just cope.
If you shave, it actually adds a couple inches. Yeah.
You're like, I really wanted to start at the asshole and then go all the way up. That's the true length.
I'd be at least 5 inches by then.
All right. Well, bye, everybody.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for Waywut. If you would, tell your friends or your enemies that they can watch us on YouTube or Rumble. And if you don't want to see our face, or if they don't want to see our faces, you can listen to us on your preferred audio platform. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, you name it, we're probably on there. Please like, review, and comment on whatever platform you joined us on today. We'd appreciate that a ton. Again, just thank you for listening and watching. We hope you'll join us next time. We'll make you say, wait, what?